Hello everyone, this is RAHMATHUNNISHA from ACNRA Kilikulam. In this video, we are going to discuss about one of the most important topics in economics, which is the forecasting and demand management. Start with forecasting. Economic forecasting is the process of attempting to predict the future conditions of the economy using a combination of important and widely followed indicators. So, forecasts are the basis for budgeting, planning capacity, sales production, and so on. It enables the managers to anticipate the future so they can plan accordingly. So, why do we go for this forecast? It consists of four main reasons. The first one is to assess the long term capacity needs, and the second is to develop budgets, hiring plan, etc. The third one is to plan production or order materials, and the fourth is to get agreement within firms and across supply chain partners. Next, if we look into the forecasting approaches, there are two main methods, namely the qualitative method and the quantitative method. Qualitative forecasting is based on the information that can't be measured. It's especially important when a company is just starting out, since there's a lack of past, that is the historical data. It involves intuition and experience. For example, forecasting sales to a new market. The next method is the quantitative method. Quantitative forecasting relies on historical data that can be measured and manipulated. It is best for making short term forecasts as past trends are more likely to reoccur in the near future than in the longer terms. Heavy use of mathematical techniques is applied here. For example, forecasting sales of a mature product. Next, if we look into the time horizon of forecasting, there are three main subdivisions. The first one is the short term forecast. They're usually made for tactical reasons that include production planning and control, short term cash requirements, and adjustments that need to be made for seasonal sales fluctuation. Such forecasts are for periods of less than 1 year, that is, they take about 3 to 12 months. The next is the medium term forecast. They are made for minor strategic decisions in connection with the operation of the business. The time period for the short term forecast is about 3 months to 3 years. The next is the long term forecast. They are for major strategic decisions to be taken within an organization, and they are very much related to resource implications. The time period for long term forecast is about more than 3 years. So, where do we use this forecast? This forecast is mainly used in three sectors, namely the economic forecast, technological forecast, and finally the demand forecast. In terms of the economic forecast, it is used to predict the inflation rate and the exchange rate. Then, in terms of technological forecast, it is used to predict the probabilities of new discoveries and when it is time to commercialize technologies. And final one is the demand forecast. What is the impact of forecasting? Forecasting is valuable to business because it gives the ability to make informed business decisions and develop data driven strategies. In terms of human resources, forecast gives warning of need to hire or lay off. In terms of production capacity, it gives warning of need for more or less capacity. Then, in terms of supply chain, forecast gives warning of need for more or less inputs to production. Therefore, forecasting helps position businesses to become active instead of reactive. Next, let's see about how to make a forecast. First of all, select a variable to be forecasted. Suppose if you're going to select a sales forecast, you have to keep in mind that your sales forecast is an estimate of the number of goods and services you can sell over a period of time. Then you have to determine the time horizon, whether it is a short term, medium term, or long term forecasting. Then you have to select the forecasting model, and then you have to gather the data regarding the forecasting model, and then you make the forecast, and finally you implement the results and review the model. In qualitative method, there are four main types, namely the first one is a jury of executive opinion. Here, it develops a long to medium forecast by asking a group of knowledgeable executives their opinions with regard to future values of the items being forecasted. Here, presence of a powerful member in the group may prevent reaching consensus. The next is a Salesforce composite. Here, salespeople are a good source of information with regard to customers' future intentions to buy a product. And the next one is the Delphi method. Here, it involves a group of experts who eventually develop a consensus. They usually make a long range forecast for future technologies or future sales of a new product. The last one is the consumer marketing survey. By using a customer survey, a firm can base its demand forecast on the customer's purchasing plans. Then, the next method is the quantitative method. Here, there are two types, namely the time series and associative. In time series, it assumes information needed to generate a forecast as it contained in a time series of data. The next is a casual method, or it's also known as associative method. Here, it explores the cause and effect relationship and it uses leading indicators to predict the future. Next, if we look into the time series method, a time series is nothing but a set of observations measured at a successive points in time or over a successive period of time. If the historical data used are restricted to past values of the series that we are trying to forecast, then the procedure is known as time series method. Here, a sequence of evenly spaced data points are used, and the future values predicted are only from the past values. Next, if we look into this graph, here the x-axis it always indicates the time, that is the year, and the y-axis here it indicates the demand for product or service. Here the fluctuations they indicate the seasonal peaks, and we can also see the other components like the random variation and the average demand over 4 years and the trend component and the actual demand. Next, let's get into the topic of demand management. First of all, what is demand? Basically, demand is an economic principle referring to a consumer's desire to purchase goods and services and willingness to pay a price for a specific good or service. So, demand is all about making choices. So, what is this demand management? The demand management process captures all work proposals in one place and guides the proposal through a multi-stage governance process, and it also helps customers to make decision about which proposals to approve and tracks progress on project execution until the work is being completed. So what do these terms approval and proposal mean? So approval means officially agree or to accept as satisfactory. Proposal, it means a plan or suggestion, especially a formal or written one, put forward for consideration by others. The demand management process, it involves four main things, namely planning a demand, communicating the demand, influencing the demand, and finally prioritizing the demand. Next, if we look into the demand management components, there are several components. To list a few, they are goal customer service levels, new product introductions, distribution resource planning, customer order entry and promising, sales and marketing plans, inventory targets, product commitments, interplan shipments, demand forecasting at item and aggregate levels. So this is the flow chart which shows the demand management process in detail. Here, if you look into the important issues of the demand management, the first consideration is the market segmentation, which involves the growth of the product, commonality of offering the needs, response to brands, strategic importance, and finally the financial attractiveness. Next is the customer classification. Here, it involves the customer size, customer technology, company sale or the company share, its business quality, importance to the value of chain which has been considered, opportunities for survival, and the willingness for alliance. One is the product ranking, which involves the profitability, customers' value for the product, competitive offerings, patent position, and then the asset capability. So, why is this forecast and demand management are important? Demand management is based on forecast and plans. In this demand management, forecast of the quantities and timing of customer demand are developed. What do we actually plan to deliver to the customers each period is the output of the process. Typical demand management phases are create, select, plan, and to manage. Therefore, the goal of the demand management is to enable the customers to propose, view, categorize, prioritize, select, and track the projects within their organization. So finally, let's see about the benefits of demand management. This demand management, it takes control over the product availability, and it gives confidence of sales force in ability to deliver the product. It also makes smoother product introductions and improved ability to respond to the changes and a single game plan based on the same set of numbers. I hope this video would have fed you some interesting information regarding forecasting and demand management. Thank you so much for watching this video.